I'm here to discuss the value of pop culture. That is, music, movies, TV. The spark of this speech came this summer when my sister Monica and I wrote out a really long list of movies we wanted to watch this summer. And we were showing it to everyone, and one person in particular responded, "Why don't you read all the great books instead?" Now, they went on to imply that to watch movies, watch TV, was to waste our time. And this infuriates me because, frankly, there are bad things in books, there are bad books, there are bad movies, so they're equal as far as I'm concerned. And plus, media can give you a lot of different things than books can, and I'm going to talk about 4 of those things. The first rung on a metaphorical ladder of pop culture is escape. Lots of us watch things to escape. Basically, the entire genre of fantasy was provided so that we could escape. So, in this modern age, we kind of tend towards routine, a rat race almost, and anything that can interrupt that is quite welcome. So, this first picture is of a group in New York called Improv Everywhere, who staged surreal pranks, and here you see multiple sets of identical twins all sitting in the same subway. This kind of thing interrupts your worker bee mentality and just kind of makes your day, honestly. So the second picture is of one of my favorite TV shows, Twin Peaks. This past summer, I felt kind of isolated for not really any reason, but watching Twin Peaks, which is about a town full of strange people, made me feel just a little more connected. You know, I felt like I knew all the people in the town, and got me through the summer. So since that, I've gotten over my isolation, and I've actually shared this show with my sister Teresa, which brings me with a clever segue to the next topic. Connection. Here you see pictures of my 3 sisters, each holding an album that I love. Music is maybe even more connecting than movies or TV because it's emotional. You conjure your own images to go along with the music. So when I hear these 3 albums, I think of my sisters and riding in the car with my sisters on the way to school. When you go into high school, you kind of mature, and I had to get to know my sisters as they went into high school again, because they were kind of different people. And each of these albums helped me bond with them and re-get to know them. So whenever I hear them, I just think of my sisters. That's kind of amazing, because out of all the billions of songs that have been written, recorded, one song makes me think of that one time I went to Target with Teresa or went home from soccer with Natalie. Now, this is not without its downsides, because once upon a time, I was in a very fun class called Honors Chemistry. And at the time of this specific story, I was taking the Honors Chemistry final. I bombed it. Now, I knew I was bombing it, and I started feeling kind of sick. Ill. And so that word ill came into my brain, and I thought of a Smiths song called Still Ill. That song was stuck in my head for 2 hours, just nonstop. And so since then, whenever I would hear this song, I felt ill and nervous. I was like, oh, I'm bombing a test, oh no. But thankfully, that doesn't happen anymore. And despite all the agony involved, I find that kind of amazing, you know, that I had a visceral reaction to a piece of music, tiny bumps, microscopic bumps on the bottom of a plastic CD. And this really reflects for me that pop culture can connect you to memories or people. So you're probably wondering why I have this very entertaining picture of Mr. Colley up here. That's because Mr. Colley is kind of an encyclopedia of pop culture knowledge. And when I met him, I found that he knew basically all the same stuff I did, and heck, a lot more. So since we shared common opinions, we connected that more easily, And he had different opinions on things, so I would look at things in a different way. For example, he hates Pink Floyd. And that's another thing that just astounds me about pop culture. The final, and what some would call highest stage of connection to pop culture, is catharsis. All of your English teachers have used this word, and some of them disagree on its meaning, so my own working definition is total 100% connection to a piece of art that usually involves cleansing tears. So, how many of you have cried at a movie? Okay. I won't lie, I don't cry at movies. It's just not my thing. I'm not asserting my masculinity here. I just don't cry at movies. It's something I have never really done. Now, the first movie I ever cried at, besides Barney's Great Adventure, was this film, 50-50. It's a comedy, really, so why would I cry at that? Well, this spring, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. And, I mean, what else can I say about that, really? It shook me up, to say the least. She's doing fine now, but it was pretty horrifying in those first couple months. And it was in those first couple months that I saw this film, 50-50, which is about one man's struggle with cancer and his friend who helps him out with it. What makes it special is that it's pretty funny constantly, but it's punctuated by these sad, poignant moments in which you just totally feel bad for the characters. And you get to know them through the funny situations, but so you feel bad for them when they go through lots of trouble. I feel like this kind of sets it apart from the stereotypical, tearjerker movies, because it's just meant to be a portrait of one guy's struggle with cancer. It's not meant to be anything more than that. So when I watched it, I had kind of bottled up all my feelings about the diagnosis, and I finished it, and they just all came rushing out. What's weird is that it felt good to cry at 50-50, because I didn't explode in public. I hadn't yelled at anyone because of my stress. I had simply let it all out. And so it's this kind of thing that I think of when people say I waste my time watching movies, because you will never convince me that I wasted my time watching 50-50. So if I can leave you all with one thing, it's this. Just because watching a movie or a TV show or listening to a new album can get in the way of studying or homework, doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. I'm not saying that you should watch TV all day, watch movies all day, but nor should you study and read all day. I mean, trust me, there are lots of things out there that are just as worth your time, such as this movie. Thank you.